And hello, how you guys doing? What up, what up? Got another vlog for you guys here. As you can see, I'm at Corridor Digital's place, but I've been using this app for a couple times, but lately, last few times I just used the standard in-camera app, so I'm going back to this, actually really diving into some of its features. One thing it allows me to do that I like is pause the video midstream. But I mean, I don't know why I would want to do that. I mean, if I ever start thinking of what's that thing, can't think of it, pause the video. So hopefully that'll go a little bit smoother for you guys with this infected poster out of the way. Because I mean, they're not exactly jump cuts, they're more like pause cuts. Pause cuts? I guess that works. See right there? I would have paused that in post if I was able to edit, but without that, I would have just been like, I don't know what to talk about. So another cool thing that I can do while it's paused is actually flip the camera. So here I'm at arm's length on my left arm, as you can see. That's why I like the front camera as opposed to looking at the back camera, because it is quite a bit wider as far as the field of view, so I don't have to hold it as far away and tire my arms out. But check this out. Look at the quality difference between the front camera and back camera. Front one's 720p, the back one's 1080p, so let's check that out. And we're back. So I think there's probably going to be a pretty big apparent jump in quality. Also, it's stabilized in camera, so I should also be pretty stabilized. I mean, if I start going around, you might see a little bit of motion blur, but for the most part, it's steady. It's probably just the algorithm's trying to study whatever is there, but you know, you can't take out motion blur. So anyway, yeah, check out this shot right here of Tanner. Actually, I'm probably going to want to focus on the front camera if I do that. I'm going to switch back. So yeah, I didn't switch back, I just changed the camera position so it could focus. Looks like it's having trouble focusing. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that pretty cinematic looking? Tanner just being awesome. Yeah, and there's 24 of those every single second, which is pretty cool. I mean, it looks great. That's with a little bit of sharpening, a little bit of color correction. Not very much, just a tiny little bit. So yeah, there's just some of the footage. If you can like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that too long. Don't want to give it all away. And that's that for the randomness, I guess. I'm going to try to tone that down a little bit more, but maybe that'll help keep things interesting. I thought someone was at the door, and there shouldn't be anyone at the door. It's like 1 in the morning right now, 1:30, and no one's here. Sam and Nico, along with a few other people, went camping this weekend. I think they'll get back Sunday at some point. So I'm taking care of their little kitties. Roto, R-O-T-O, like rotoscoping. Is Nico's cat, and Bowie, Bowie to Bowie, is Sam's cat. And so I've just been feeding him, but I was just really out of it all day today, and I didn't really get too much done. I felt sick and just really extremely lethargic, not mentally tired, not sleepy, just like weak, too weak to move. And I'm sure a great deal of that was just malnourishment. I had a small breakfast, but it was not very. And that helped. Anyway, so something I figured out today to make my footage look quite a bit better was something Nico had pointed out to me a couple days ago that I was just like, but I purposely put it that way. And then I realized that no, I purposely put it that way and it made it look not as good. I had my magenta levels set way too high. Because all the footage is raw, you keep a lot of these properties. You keep a lot of these properties as metadata in the footage, whereas if you're to shoot footage with a DSLR or just a point and shoot, or iPhone for that matter, all those settings are baked into the image. But with a raw image, all these settings you can fix in post. Things like the ISO, which is the brightness level of your image. So if I was to crank up the ISO, it would just get brighter, and that's helpful in dark situations. But the downside to that is that you start getting really noisy images, which can look very ugly, so you kind of want to not have that. I was trying to think of a fancier word, but I couldn't think of one. Mainly because I was just unsure if mitigate was the right word to use in that situation. But yeah, so the other big things are your white balance. And I don't even know what the magenta levels scale is called, but it's a scale between basically this purplish pink magenta and green. and it'll shift your colors in either direction. And there's also your white balance, which will shift your colors between basically blue and like a yellowish orange. And the white balance is to offset things like the light color you see up there, how it's very yellowy, or fluorescent lights, which tend to be very blue. And your white balance will offset that. Same thing if you're outside in the middle of the day. The biggest light source in your scene is the sun, which is very, very orange, so you want to counteract that with a little bit of blue in your white balance. But when the sun starts setting and starts going down, less and less of the orange sun is apparent, and more of the blue sky is lighting your scene. And so your images tend to get more bluish, so you have to counteract that as well. Actually, I don't know if, I think I messed up something in that explanation. I'm not sure, but yeah, the gist is still there. I'm going to pause this so I can really think of what to talk about next. Right, so I had my magenta levels set way too high, and I needed to bring that down. And I'm pretty sure I had it at that same level for some reason across all my footage. I think maybe I shot it at that level, which is why whenever I brought it into my computer and started looking at it, I didn't want to change too much from the default values. I just didn't realize that I was shooting, my default values when I was shooting was way off in the first place. So now, upon changing it in a lot of scenes, my shots look way better. And I got really excited because I was like, yeah, it looks good and all, but something's off. I couldn't really place it until I realized all the shots were a little bit too magenta-like. And so adding a little bit of green back into the scene helped out a lot. Usually, if in a forest scene, you kind of want to have a little bit more magenta than green just because all of the leaves overpower the greenness in your image. And so that's why you have some magenta, stuff like that. So yeah. Roto. Roto. Man, look at her eyes. That's crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and just end the video now. I don't really have anything else to talk about, and the video's already 7 minutes. So I think I should probably hang it up. And keep in mind, there's still no editing in this video. It's all essentially one take, just with pause cuts. So let me know what you guys think about this style of vlogging, because it still is super easy on my part, and maybe it'll be a little bit more interesting for you. And so yeah, I'm keeping these up every day, 11 a.m. As you can see, I still have my Rode mic. I tried placing it a little bit further down and on my right side this time, so hopefully there's not as much just like peaking. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Signing out. Later. Bye.